the great outdoors, peaceful, idyllic getaway, or deadly arena of interspecies revenge. Someone please tell the birds, the rabbits, the worms, the bears, and the frogs that we're all very, very sorry. It's the era of nature gone wild, this time on Missing Reel.
Man against nature is the foundation of the earliest stories that humans told one another. The struggle to compete in the food chain was the first conflict in the history of man. And so when nature threatens to take the upper hand, this triggers humanity's most basic and primal fears. When stories of the fantastic became popular culture, authors like H.G. Wells struck at those fears with stories like Food of the Gods, where man's mishandling of the environment creates vengeful, giant mutations of the animals around him. Films in the early part of the century toyed with these themes in movies like King Kong. By the 1950s, the threat of the atom bomb brought drive-ins a parade of irradiated menaces. Occasionally, Hollywood would get into the act with something far more grand than the standard B-movie fare. Alfred Hitchcock scored one of the biggest hits of his career with the nature-gone-wild thriller, The Birds. In 1975, a young film director named Steven Spielberg crushed box office records and released what many describe as Hollywood's first modern summer blockbuster. The success of Jaws was followed by a tidal wave of disgruntled animal pictures. William Girdler had already made a name for himself in Grindhouse cinema circles with his films 3 on a Meat Hook and the blaxploitation classic Sheba Baby. Then he released the most successful film of his career and one of the most successful films of 1976, the eco-terror classic Grizzly. And if the threat of a single animal wasn't enough to frighten audiences into staying indoors, perhaps a challenge from every corner of the great outdoors would.
What begins as a pleasant day of hiking in the woods becomes the day of the animals.
Piranha, an early effort by Gremlins director Joe Dante, and Tentacles, a flick about a killer octopus, kept the fear of the water at the forefront of horror films. While the radioactive worm feature Squirm made even the most benign creatures a source of skin-crawling nightmares.
They came from everywhere. Millions of writhing, seething creatures oozing out of the mire to feed on human flesh. Oh no. Terror grips every nerve in your body. You want to scream, but you can't. Your heart beats so fast, it feels like it's going to burst.
Jerry?
A new experience in pure fright.
But even as this subgenre of eco-terror films filled theaters, the era of the giant mutant monster animals continued to press on. Most notably in the big screen adaptation of H.G. Wells' Food of the Gods.
The terrifying tale of man fighting for his life against an ecology gone berserk. This is the last chance for an unsuspecting world against harmless animals and insects made huge and vicious by the food of the gods. Ralph Meeker, Ida Lupino, H.G. Wells' The Food of the Gods, for a taste of hell. Rated PG.
And the giant telekinetic insect overlord thriller, Empire of the Ants.
In this fantastic tale, Wells tells the chilling story of a colony of ants who feed on atomic waste, causing them to grow into large, voracious monsters.
Ah, let's get out of here, come on!
And these giant ants are actually able to control humans.
He needs us. That's why it has to be this way. Why we must obey. At first, the people don't understand. They must be forced into submission. After their indoctrination, they realize that the ants only want us to take care of them and work for them, feed them. That's the way it should be, for they are superior.
H.G. Wells' Empire of the Ants. For they shall inherit the earth sooner than you think.
Modern films like Anaconda and Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus continue to thrill audiences and tap into mankind's most primal fears in ways that other film genres will never be able to do.